大家好，欢迎您再次收看这一节的新闻人物专访。今天的新闻人物，我们请到的是参选洛县检察长的 David Milton。David Milton 为什么大家都称呼他为美国的包公呢？我们来听听他怎么说。
I believe our personalities are very similar, and I'm just quite honored to be associated with Bao Gong. It means that you're a man of character. You cannot be compromised. You're strong in law and order and fairness. You're balanced. You have the people's interest at heart. And you make your rulings based on the law and not some extraneous matters. And this is the way to deliver justice to people and societies generally. Make sure that the law is certain. Make sure that the judge adheres to the law, strictly adheres to the law, and moves toward a fair disposition for all parties. One thing that, as a judge myself, sitting on the bench, hearing the most difficult cases you could hear in any jurisdiction in this country, state or federal, when counsel for the accused or the convicted come to me and they're arguing sentencing, one of the things, I certainly listen to those arguments and I certainly consider those arguments, but the first question I want to ask is I want to know what happened to the victim. I'm concerned about the victim's rights as well, and I will not overlook them, and I will enforce those rights just as much as I will recognize the rights of the defendants.
而对于现任洛县检察长贾思康的政策，到底有什么需要改革的地方呢？
We have basically open borders in this country. I think that's well known. And what is happening with this open door policy, open borders policy? Many people who are coming into this country, they mean to do us harm. There's no doubt about that. Now, many of them, once they're in the country, they're illegal aliens, they're in the country, and they commit felonies. What happens after they commit felonies? Well, present District Attorney George Gascon has a policy in effect right now. And if I'm District Attorney, I will reverse this policy on day one. The policy is, to the deputies, do not charge those illegal aliens with a felony crime. See if you can find an appropriate misdemeanor or diversion to charge them with, and therefore they can avoid deportation. Well, my question is, why would you want this policy? This type of policy is destructive and it's harmful to the citizens of the county, of the state, of the country. This is very harmful. Think this policy out. A person comes from abroad, commits a serious crime in this country, and our district attorney of the largest prosecution agency in this country has instructed the deputies therein not to file charges against them that would result in their deportation. That means he wants them to stay. This Gascon is a dangerous man, and I intend to challenge him, and I think I can defeat him with the support of the Chinese community.
贾思康的政策里面，对于危险罪犯是采取相当放任的态度。那您认为应该如何处置？
It is true. The most dangerous man I have ever met. Now, keep in mind that I've been in public service as a judge or a prosecutor for 36 years. And over that period of years, the most dangerous man I have ever met. And let me tell you why I characterize him as the most dangerous man I've ever met. I sat next to this man, probably within 10 to 15 feet of this man for 5 months as I put on the prosecution against him. This man was just released from prison for running over a person's head. 2 weeks later, he goes into a park in East Los Angeles, and he tells the teenage boys who are in the park with their girlfriends smoking marijuana to get out of his park. The boys said, "Yes, right, buddy." Well, what was this man's response? He grabs boy, a teenager number 1, puts the gun right into his eye socket and discharges it, resulting in his immediate death. He grabs boy number 2 and does the same thing. Boy number 3 is fleeing. He's firing shots at this boy and he hits him. Well, this young man survived. 2 weeks later, on Halloween night, he goes to this couple's home, a young couple whom he was acquainted with, but he believed they provided information about the park killings to law enforcement, the sheriff's department. He was wrong, but he believed that. And evidence showed, the forensic evidence showed, that the husband was in a recliner and that the defendant was stooped next to him, where the defendant pressed the gun barrel against his cheek and discharged it. He then stands over this husband and touches the gun barrel to the top of his head and discharges it. And then we see the wife. We see her a couple of feet from the door, and she's got 2 gunshot wounds to the back of the head. After this, the jury returns a verdict of death. He's sent off to prison. He begins killing people again while he's in prison. Well, he filed years' worth of appeals to the California Supreme Court, the United States Supreme Court, all through the federal chain, and finally, a federal court ordered that his death sentence be released to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. Why did I tell you the story about the most dangerous man I ever met? Is because Gascon, he's pressing for legislation that anyone who has a life imprisonment without the possibility of parole be released after 20 years. Well, I convicted this man in 1987, meaning that under Gascon's policy in 2007, this man was eligible for immediate release. We need to stop this madness.
最后想了解，到底您希望华裔社区给您什么样的支持，能够帮助筹款，也能够招募到义工呢？
I am asking the Chinese community for your support, not just your vote, which is so important. It's the most important, as a matter of fact. But I need your monetary support. I need the Chinese community to get behind me. I'm asking the Chinese community to vote for me and contribute to my campaign. I'm just honored that the station here has allowed me to make these comments to you as a contribution to my campaign. I need you to go to miltonforda.com to make those contributions. And I tell you, I've got your back if you put me in the DA's office.
非常谢谢今天洛县检察长候选人 David Milton 接受我们的专访，我们下次见。